wonder what to do with those really cool little wood slices that are really popular in crafting these days? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you 3 different projects that are easy, fun, and unique. So if you want to see what I did with the wood slices, well, then follow me. What's up, Glue Dots? I'm Elaine, the Midnight Crafter. Today's video is sponsored by Arteza, who generously sent me some fantastic crafting supplies to share with all of you. I came up with some really fun projects using some of their supplies, and if you want to duplicate them, just look down below in the description box for a 10% off coupon and links to the products that I used, as well as a link to Arteza's YouTube channel for some great ideas and inspiration. I've combined some of Arteza's projects with Dollar Tree products and came up with some fun ideas and easy projects that I hope you'll all enjoy. If you're ready to check them out, hit that thumbs up button and we will get this party started. So our first project's actually going to be our easiest project, and what I've gone through and done is go through this box. This is how the wood slices come from Arteza, and they are really nicely packaged, and they're also really nice quality. They come in this plastic. They're all more or less the same size, but you can see there are slightly different sizes. So go through and pick the 2 that you like for this project. If you want it a little more earthy, you can pick ones that have a little more of the bark around the edge, or there are some that have a little less bark, but you can kind of go through and pick the ones that work best for you for your project. So what I'm going to do for this project is I'm actually going to pick this one here, which seems to be a little more oval, and this one here, which is a little more round. And the simple project here is that we're just going to be gluing these 2 together initially, and we're going to be using wood glue. I'm using the Gorilla wood glue. Gorilla brand just seems to have good quality products, so I like them, and I will leave a link down below for this if you're interested in getting some. So go ahead and find any spot that may lay a little nicer. I'm going to pick this spot here. It's got this little wedge. It seems to stand nicely there, and I'm going to, aside from putting some of my wood glue, I'm going to also put a little bit of my hot glue to hold things together and in place. The hot glue is just going to be to hold it there till the wood glue dries so that I can make sure this thing doesn't tip over or anything. Okay, and then what we're going to be doing is taking a piece of our nautical rope. This is nautical rope from Dollar Tree, but you can also get rope from the hardware store. And we're going to be just reinforcing this, and not only reinforcing it, but just kind of making it look a little nicer too. Now, one trick that I like to use when cutting my nautical rope is I cut along the direction of the rope so that you don't get a blunt edge. And I feel like you just get a much nicer, cleaner look that way. So you can't really tell where, once it's glued to the project, you don't really see any specific lines. You do still want to add a little bit of glue on there to keep everything together and keep it from unraveling. So we're going to start by putting this piece here and then figure out about the length that we need it to be to reach up to wherever you want it to reach on your other piece here, and then measure that off and cut it again at the diagonal following the rope line. And then glue that to the side of your other wood wedge, wood piece, wood slice. Yeah, that thing. And we'll do the same on the other side. And this project pretty much is done. All we need to do is add our cute little votive candle. Anyway, I'm going to show you this at the end, and we're going to move on to project number 2. Okay, for project number 2, we have our Dollar Tree glass vase, and I looked for, out of my package of rounds, I looked for the round that is the most round and that fits nicely with a little bit of hangover. And it's not because it's been drinking last night or anything, it's just that it's a little bigger than the jar. Anyway, it hangs a tiny bit over the edge. You don't have to have it a little bit, you can have it a lot over or just right at the edge, but I like it to have just a little bit of an edge to it. And then what we're going to be doing is in order to make this into a lid so it doesn't just slide around, we're going to take a small piece of cardboard, and I just had this, I cut this off of a piece of box that I had, and we don't need a lot. We don't need basically a very wide piece, just a very thin piece. You're going to give this a little bit of bend, and what we want to do is have this fit to the inside of our jar. So take your piece, line the inside, doesn't have to be a super snug fit, and then go ahead and mark or know where you need to cut and cut that part off. And then this is a really wide piece. I don't need it this wide, as I said, so I'm just going to cut enough that it has a little bit of a lip to stick down into the jar. So this piece is about 1/2 inch wide. I'm going to go here back to my jar just to double check and make sure that it fits nicely. It's a smidgen smaller than my inside of my jar, which is perfectly fine. And I'm going to glue the two ends together here. So what we're going to do is, along with using hot glue, we're going to also be using some of our wood glue to get this to stay down. So go around, take your wood glue, and maybe leave a couple little blank spots for your hot glue. So add some hot glue in a couple little spots, and then attach this right down to your wood slice, trying to round it out as much as possible. So you're going to have something that looks like that. Then we're going to flip this over, and we're going to be making a little handle for this. So you can use, I had this little wood bead. I'm crafting my stash right now, guys, because I'm trying to abide by the quarantine rules as best as possible. You may have wood beads from Dollar Tree or other type of things like that. Be creative. Here's another option. These are from Dollar Tree, and these are those little wicker ball things. So decide what look you like for your top to have, if you want it to be a little wood knob or if you want it to be this little twine ball. I actually thought I was going to use the wood knob, but I really like the look of the twine ball. So find a spot that is the most flat of your twine ball. And how many times can I say twine ball in one shot? Add some of your wood glue, and then add a little bit again of your hot glue, and put this in place right on the center. Okay, we're going to set this aside, and while we're waiting for this to dry, really easy part here, we're going to be taking our glass jar and our twine, and just randomly and wherever you would like, start with a little bit of hot glue and put your piece on there. Now know the hot glue is not going to stick permanently, so wherever you do start with your twine piece, make sure that you overlap that to help hold it in place. Just like that. And then just wrap it however you would like, just adding a little bit of attention and something interesting to your container. Now do be aware that you're going to want to leave a bit of space so that you can put your label. I think that looks pretty good. I don't need it to have too much, so I'm just going to end mine right there. Add a little dab of my hot glue. A little dab will do ya. You guys have heard me say that before in one of my videos. Anybody remember what it's from? And then next, again, these are from Arteza. These are chalk labels, chalkboard labels, and this is a great set, you guys. You get a lot of them in here. And not only you get a lot of them for the money, you also get 3 white chalk pens. So this is definitely an equivalent value or better even than what you would get at Dollar Tree, because you wouldn't get so many labels and so many assorted sizes, as well as each of these pens would be $1. I wanted to find things that are of value, that in case we can't get from Dollar Tree, that we can get them from here and we can order them online. So there's all sizes of labels. There's really big ones, and lots of them, as I said. And then there's some small ones, real small, and some medium-sized ones. So you have a lot of options. And I think for this project, I'm going to use this one here. It looks like a good label. Why not? There are a lot of labels here, guys. You have so many things that you can label with these. It's a great, great deal. Then go ahead and find where you want to put your label and attach it right onto your jar. And then now when you first get these, they need a little bit of prepping. So all you have to do that is just kind of pump them a little bit and shake them. And you can see how it starts to come to the front of the pen. So there you go. So I think for this, I am gonna put Q-tips. And give that a chance to dry, and then we're gonna put this all together. Project number 2 is done. I'll show you it at the end. All right, guys, ready to move on? We're gonna go on to project number 3. If you're enjoying this so far, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Let me know which one of these is your favorite and if you think you might be making them. Also, don't forget to check the links out down below for Arteza's products. Okay, so for this one, what I did is pick the largest round that I could find from the rounds that I came in the box, and then the smallest ones that had the most bark. Again, it's entirely your choice, but I thought for this would be a great way to start. So we're going to be starting with one side. You want this to stand as well as it can on its own, although it will be having help, and you also want to not have it be wide. You'd rather have it tall so that you can get all 4 of the pieces on. We are going to be again using our wood glue as well as our hot glue. The wood glue is the main hold. The hot glue is just temporary so that we can hold this in place while we're working. And then glue your piece to the edge of the other piece on the bottom. Doesn't really matter if glue drips on the inside because you're actually going to be covering that up. So just clean up anything that may be on the outside. Then we're going to go through and glue on our second piece. Now, don't worry too much if there's a little overlap. So you want to kind of be mindful that you have your other pieces that you're going to be gluing in place and to kind of leave some space for them. But again, look for the tallest way and not the widest way so that you can get this all put together. And using your wood glue and your hot glue, glue that next piece down. So I have 2 of my pieces glued together, and you can see there is some overlap there. It's okay. This is supposed to be natural, like nature, and nature doesn't always line things up all perfectly. So the other thing you're going to want to do is where that junction is, where they come together, from the inside, add some glue there too, because you want to give it a little more structure and sturdiness. So if you can sneak some wood glue in there as well as some hot glue, that would be great. The wood glue is a bit runny, so if you have a little anything, a toothpick or a stick or anything that you can use to kind of work that glue so it doesn't drip all out of there, that would be very helpful as well. Okay, I'm going to continue around doing the same thing on the other sides, gluing this in place, adding some glue in between, and then we will move to the next step. I've got all 4 of my pieces on, and as you can see, one piece is on the inside of one and on the outside of the other. That's the only way you can really get them to fit. And now what I'm doing is going through in the inside edges and adding some hot glue in there for some added security to make sure those junctions stay really solid and sturdy. Another little trick I like to do is when I'm adding a new glue stick in, I like to add a little dot of hot glue to it, or kind of even melt that end a little bit, just a tiny bit, so that when you put it in, it sticks to the next stick and then it doesn't give you grief when you're trying to squeeze and it's stuck in the back. Anyway, just another little tip. Once you have everything in place and everything is reinforced, we're going to take our ribbon, which this ribbon is from Dollar Tree. You can use Nautical Rope if you want, kind of how we did on our first project, the candle. Or you can use some twine, wrap it around a couple times like we did on our second project. Or you can add some ribbon around to give this a little bit of interest. Now this one, I did not realize it is actually wired ribbon, which might make life a little more easy even. So figure out kind of around your edge about how much you're going to need and cut that to length. Add your hot glue and get that in place, and then we're going to work our way around gluing on the trim. Here's what it looks like with the trim glued on, and now we're going to be getting to the kind of messy part. We'll be using our moss here to kind of fill in some little gaps and spaces. You don't have to fill the whole inside, but what will be really nice is to have some of it coming through the little holes here where the rounds come together and give it that really cute, almost nest-like look. Now, I bought this moss at Michael's, but I had it from a long time ago, and again, I'm crafting my stash. You can definitely get moss from Dollar Tree as well. Now I'm going to work with kind of small pieces of moss, so I'm going to sort of go in and just place the moss wherever I want and add a little bit of hot glue as I go. Now that I've got kind of the bottom part done and covered up, the best thing to do right now is to go ahead and put your styrofoam in, or your floral foam, or whatever you have. Again, crafting my stash, I found a funky little piece of styrofoam, all that I had left, so I'm just going to use this. So put that piece in place, get that glued in. And then we're going to start adding in some of our flowers. If you want something a little more natural, maybe you have some of the cotton stems you want to put in. In fact, if you don't even want to use it for flowers, don't put styrofoam in there, and you can use this to put something else. I don't know, maybe some kitchen utensils that are shorter, or some stuff in your bathroom. Candle maybe, set in the center of this, a little bit taller candle to go with the other DIY project, but use your imagination. So I've cut off a few stems of the flowers that I want to use, and I'm just going to kind of start putting them in there. You know, floral arranging, guys, is not my strong point, so just bear with me on this. Do your best. That's all you can ever ask for, is to do your best, and we can always adjust later. That's the way I look at it. I'm going to keep going with this, and I will show you once I get my flowers in and we move on to adding in some of the rest of the moss. So here's what I have done. It's a little sparse, but I think that I'm going to be adding in the moss, and that's going to help to fill in a little bit and not make it look so sparse like that. So this time you're going to take a little bigger hunks, and you're going to place them all around inside to fill in the spaces here where your flowers have left. Don't forget, guys, to hit that subscribe button, and also don't forget to check that description box. These are some really great items, and I know that you guys will love Arteza's website if you go check it out. So I added a few more flowers just to make it a little more full, and I added a bird. And the bird, what I did is I took a piece of skewer stick that I had and stuck it into the styrofoam that the bird is made of, and then stuck it directly into my plant. So one last little touch I want to do with the bird is to make a little twine bow. Now, a lot of you probably already know how to do this, but I'm going to quickly run through it. I have my piece of twine, and I'm just going to wrap it a few times around my fingers just to make some little loops. And then I have another piece that I'm going to tie it with. I usually like to double up my piece because I just think it looks better. So I'm going to take that piece and tie that around the looped part that I just made. And I'm just going to cut that other looped end open so that I have the little tails for my bow. And that's it. We have our little twine bow. I'm going to glue this on and show you guys all these projects. I came up with some fun projects using their You can just look in the description box down below for a 10% off coupon, as well as links that I used to the products that I used And that, yeah, sure. Just look down in the description box and you'll get a 10% off coupon and links to, I can't believe that just blinked. Blah.